I'm here to introduce my topic on the perversion of statistics by the South African golf handicapping system. And as a long-standing average golfer that has matured and played progressively worse with age, at least that's my excuse, the mystery of the South African SAGA handicap system evades me. If only Jeremy Clarkson could do justice to a review of SAGA rules, at least we would gain some perverse source of humour from the tragedy that I'm about to explain. SAGA expects all golfers to enter their scores for each round they play into a centralised system within 72 hours, with penalties for late entries, so we all try to do that, or else the handicap's electronic system enters a penalty of the best score you've shot in the last 20 rounds for you. The real humour is that SAGA seems to want to use statistics to calculate a handicap, but completely ignores the purpose and the strict definition of what statistics are. The Oxford English Dictionary definition of statistics is the science that deals with the collection, classification, analysis and interpretation of numerical facts or data, and that by the use of mathematical theories of probability imposes order and regularity on aggregates of more or less disparate elements. Well, that's simple, isn't it? It's one of the most abused sciences, and Mark Twain penned the now famous phrase of there are three kinds of lies, damn lies, and statistics. And that emerges primarily because of tampering with input information, and that's exactly what SAGA forces us to do. I'm sure they don't have one qualified statistician amongst them, and if they do, he should be shot for what follows. In response to my queries, I'm told that the USGA and SAGA are not calculating an average. Well, that's obvious, but why not? Their reason is that a handicap is the reflection of a golfer's playing ability and not of their average game. And this is why we adopt the current system. Well, what garbage is this? Why don't they acknowledge that once in my life, many years ago, I shot a 76. That was my best, and rate me on that, my real ability. This is all gobbledygook and quite incredulous. What other sport works like this? Oh, but I have some small comfort. Apparently the system is the same for everyone, so no one's going to be singled out. Nobody is sane at SAGA. So let's take a professional golfer. He's surely the supreme expert at our game, and whenever we mere mortals watch the game on TV, we see putts going in the hole from impossible angles and tee shots that are hit from the back tees that no average golfer even knew existed, as it's somewhere usually 100 metres back in the châtine. When a pro golfer gets into trouble, the most amazing shots are played, such as Phil Mickelson's reverse lob wedge over his head, or a 3-iron threaded through the trees to end up a metre from the hole. And guess what? When a pro golfer makes a double bogey, or heaven forbid a 10, like Ernie's 6-putt, it's so funny that your YouTube has legendary footage of these horrendous mistakes. He can't mark it as a 6+ though. SAGA's response to this is that a pro golfer doesn't hit a 10 very often. Well, in the same vein, I don't hit a sub 80 very often. The significance is that every shot counts for a professional, but not for Mr. Average, who's only allowed to count a 2 over on a hole for SAGA handicap purposes. Since when are my 10 shots only allowed to be entered as a 6+ on the card? Who on earth decided this? And what it means is that the average golfer has probably pruned off at least 10 shots, yes, that's legitimate blows, in anger at that stupid ball every Saturday. Now, if that wasn't already a manipulation of real data, the handicap is now calculated on the basis of the best 10 scores in a moving average batch of 20, which in itself is selecting the best scores and not a straight average of the 20. Why this method? Why not 6 of 12? And then there's the bonus of excellence, which means that they take only 96% of the average of the best so calculated. What's worse is that as soon as you enter a round which is 3 shots better than your handicap, and you do it more than twice, suddenly only 8 scores count from 20. What this means is that you end up with a handicap that for the average golfer bears no resemblance to the average. If this was devised by the average golfer, I would put it down to some delusional process of grandeur of trying to get a handicap that is too good to be true. Come on, the average golfer ends up never getting close to playing in his handicap unless he's one of those rare days when every fluke under the sun goes in. Let me also remind you that in club champs for handicaps of 18 and less, medal rounds count only, so it's no wonder that the person who actually wins it over 2 days is regarded as superhuman. The whole system is so skewed to the lowest scores To call this statistics is simply pathetic, and in any case, it's only golfers that are subject to this state of affairs. Oh, I know that they've cured that by saying we want the test of the best, but I thought that only happened in fishing. In statistics, there are ways of dealing with outliers, such as the nugget effect or log normal statistics, but that in itself can be both positive or negatively skewed. Outlier cutting is notoriously dangerous, but if you ever want the average, don't leave out data. We have the ability to enter adjusted scores into the computer system, so why don't they put a space for the unadjusted scores, and then statistically plot the difference between the two? Then when we play medal rounds, we use the unadjusted handicaps, and for Stableford, the adjusted. Then let me ask what happens to all the really crap rounds that I played. If someone at SAGA is trying to erase them from my memory, let me tell you, I'll need psychiatric counselling like Ernie needs at the moment, until I die to erase these worst shots from my mind. They exist really, and after some rounds, I promise you, post-traumatic stress disorder is real. Frankly, I've simply had enough of this farce. A simple solution is to really hand this problem over to Duckworth-Lewis, the famous Imperial College statisticians that engineered the cricket scoring stats, or hand it over to the Royal Ancient to work out a global system. Medal rounds should count, and it's about time we as Mr. Average were fairly represented at SAGA. Oh, but that's not possible either. They're not an open and transparent body, and you have to belong to secret society of the provincial representatives before you can go to SAGA and ask questions like the ones I'm asking now. So I have a compulsory SAGA fees deducted from at my club, only to be told I can't vote or go to the meetings. Having sent many protestations to SAGA over the years, including Excel spreadsheets with my adjusted scores and what the effect would be if the system was changed, all I get is, well, that's what the Handicaps Committee has come up with, and so live with it. But I can't see this injustice continue, so I hope you'll support me through #HandicapsMustIncrease. I've sent a note to handicaps.co.za saying my handicap is not right, which of course has two meanings, and the response was, well, what's wrong? So I hope this puts the record straight. Start using real averages. But before I finish, let's not forget the real reason that's given for the system. Cheating. Oh, sure, we know there are cheats, and there always will be, but I'm sure that 99% of the players are in fact honest. So why penalize us with this ridiculous system when in fact the majority of people are actually honest? It's all wrong. Help me, fellow golfers. Andy Clay.